hurt.
No, I think she is.
Yeah, she's hurt. She took a hard fall off there.
Okay.
Gosh, I hope she's okay.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Daily Puck Drop, the DPD, watching here on YouTube, PuckSports.com, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you find your podcast. Be sure, please, to rate, like, subscribe, leave a comment on all of those platforms, especially Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Helps us generate revenue. It helps us generate more popularity. So please do. It helps us in all those kind of podcast platforms, especially if you're watching here on YouTube. Please leave a comment to anything that you hear and see here as we broadcast, as we always do, at 10 a.m. Monday through Friday here in the Daily Puck Drop, the DPD. All of it is in a one nice and tidy spot there at PuckSports.com. Go visit PuckSports.com. There's going to be stuff up there soon. More stuff, daily poll questions, some writing, some different links, a place to leave voicemails. We'll touch on that here at the end of the show. Welcome in. It's a Monday, April 22nd. Hopefully everyone had a wonderful weekend. Lots going on. We'll touch on the Mariners. We got the NFL draft that's coming up on Thursday. We have a special announcement coming up on the NFL draft that we will get to. Fisher Plumbing, rough night for the Plungers. Rough game on Saturday for the Plungers. We'll get to that here on the rundown for the DPD. NBA playoffs are here. We'll quickly look at that. There's some news and notes on a new TV deal and a streaming deal, and it's right here in our backyard. So we'll get you caught up on that. Also, Scottie Scheffler just continues to be a freaking unicorn and dominant, something we haven't seen since Tiger. And then a thank you as to you coming up at the end. Oh, one more note on the NBA, a special announcement on the NBA segment when we get to it, involving a project that I'm doing there with Iconic Sonics podcast group and with George Karl. Let's get into the Mariners, the weekend. What is this series? What a weird series against the Rockies, man. First of all, the Rockies were just terrible. The fact is he didn't sweep them was just insane. I mean, obviously they had their chance there in game one of that doubleheader on Sunday and just could not push any runs across, especially when they had a bunch of runners in scoring position, traffic all over the place. It just couldn't get that one big hit to push them over the hump. What a just weird. And then the night game, it's like everybody in the lineup got a hit, like left and right. Seby Zavala looked good, for God's sakes, in that the second game of that doubleheader. But if you've never been there, my wife is from there, family there. It is the oddest place. Our dear friend, old friend, Kevin Shockey, now the program director there at Altitude Sports, he can attest to it. He sent me a picture. Like, I think it was Friday. There's snow everywhere on the ground. Or maybe it was Saturday morning. I think there was snow everywhere on the ground. And then one day later, he sends me another photo. They're going to the game. It's like high 60s in their T-shirts. Some people are in shorts. It's the craziest weather in the world in Colorado. I always tell the story. One time I went there for when the Cougs were first round of the NCAA tournament. I think it was the second year there with Tony Bennett. The year that they beat Notre Dame, and I'm blanking on the exact year. 2008 maybe, 2009. Anyways, we go to watch them at the Pepsi Center. We walk in there like around 10 o'clock in the morning. Me and my wife's father. It is like, I don't know, 72 degrees already. I'm in maybe 75. I'm already in a t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops. We leave later that night at around 8 or 9 after all the games have wrapped up. It's snowing. It's 30 degrees and snowing. There's nothing like Denver, Colorado. The fact they were even able to play on Saturday in that conditions where there was just snow all over the place. The guys looked miserable. Everyone's bundled up like the fat kid in Christmas Story. Where just like you fall down and you can't get up. They just looked awful. I mean, I know what it's like to kind of coach like Little League Baseball in those conditions. I mean, not like that, but like when it's cold and in the rain. I can't imagine what those guys were dealing with there on Saturday. But they got the win, large part because Luis Castillo was just unbelievable. I mean, unreal. So that's the Castillo that we've come to love there. So it was a great performance by him. I know it's a bad team. I get it. So what? You got to beat the bad teams. You would have been depressed like me had we got to Monday and then they lost 2 out of 3 to these guys. Okay. So they won 2 out of 3, but Julio's starting to heat up. Castillo looked great on Saturday. Their pitching staff has looked great. There's a great nugget there by Divish in the Times. So their staff has got a 1.44 ERA, 64 strikeouts, 9 walks. Opponents are hitting just a $1.75 in the past 10 games. So their pitching staff, which in that first kind of week or 2 weeks of the season, it felt like, oh my God, what's going on with these guys? Because if they're not good, God, no one's going to be good. Like, because the offense isn't good to pick them up. Slowly but surely, that staff has kind of turned it around. You saw a really good start by Emerson Hancock in the finale there on Sunday. He looked good, got out of some early trouble. Defense once again didn't help him out early in the game with Jorge Polanco committing that error. But again, righted the ship and looked good. They got fat and happy. We'll get to Julio here in a second. They got fat and happy on a bad team, but that's what they're supposed to do. And the offense starting to kind of get it going and turn it around. The first game that they struggled offensively, the second game, they ended up, 13 hits, double-digit runs for the first time this season, which is just amazing that it's taken them this long to get to double-digit hits or double-digit runs so far during this season. But the good note is, coming out of that series, still doesn't have a home run yet. Okay, but his past 6 games, you've seen Julio Rodriguez now starting to turn it up a little bit. Batting average of 464, on base at 483, slugging 536, OPS well over 1,000, still without a home run, but starting to click for him, starting to get going. One thing I've always appreciated about Julio, and I know we've talked about this many times with Divish, also Brad Adam, also Bill Kruger, is that whatever issues he's had offensively and inside the box, he's never taken those problems out on the field. It's never affected him playing defense. Still plays with that joy that he does every single game, but now the bat's starting to come around. He is a notorious slow starter, even though don't have the hugest sample size with him, but he's getting much better. One little worry thing that kind of came out, I guess, that series with the Rockies, and I do think it's it's worth to watch it here pretty soon, is the situation there with George Kirby. He came out, he was pitched in that first game on Sunday, and that broke their streak of consecutive, quality starts. Goes 5 innings. If you were watching it or listening to it, especially if you were watching it, you could tell he was a tick down in his velocity. Didn't look normal out there. Kind of looked out of sorts. I thought he was sick. Because my first thought was, oh, he's dealing with the flu or something. He said after the game he was not 100%, acknowledged that he's been dealing with some mild arm soreness. Now, he said, don't worry about it. Here in the next day or two, it's going to go away. But I would just be, what scares me about it when anyone starts talking about arm soreness is just the rash of injuries that we've had in Major League Baseball this season. Quality starters all going down with injuries. So everyone got a piece of wood. I've got a wood so you can hear it. Everybody knock on wood. You're listening right now on the podcast, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, knock on podcast as you're listening to this, okay? Knock on podcast. How about knock on wood, you putz? Jesus. Okay? Knock on wood. We don't need George Kirby going down with anything. They will have an off day today. They switch gears to go play the Rangers. First place on the line. How about that? They're only a half a game out. It's just stupid. No one has pulled away in this American League West. Rangers series, they've got the pitching advantage in every single start. They've got Gilbert going against Dunning in game 1 on Tuesday. Then they've got Miller versus Gray. Miller statistically has been their best pitcher. That should be a great matchup. And then on Thursday, Castillo coming off that great start against Colorado gets Andrew Heaney. So again, they've got the pitching advantage in all 3, with their staff starting to turn it around. As Divish noted again, I just love this line. The last 10 games, starters a 1.44 ERA. Opponents hitting just a $1.75 against them. All right, that's for the Mariners off day, and then they're back at it coming up on Tuesday. Mondays are our baseball show. So if you're listening right now to the daily puck drop, the DPD, coming up later that will be dropped at 1 o'clock. We drop all of our interviews quickly. Just I like to reset and tell everyone this. We drop all of our regular interviews at 1 o'clock. So Jim Duquette, Major League Baseball Radio Network, Sirius XM, all brought to you by Flat Stick Pub. Go visit flatstickpub.com. Great place for parties, events, kids, families, everybody. Flatstickpub.com. Jim Duquette will join us on Mondays, as he always does on Mondays, MLB Network Radio. And then Bill Kruger, Root Sports, brought to you by his Rise Above Foundation. Bill Kruger will join us today as well on Monday, April 22nd. Again, every Monday, Bill Kruger, Jim Duquette. All episodes every day. The interviews drop at 1 o'clock. Daily Puck drop every day. They're at 10 a.m. All right, NFL draft is getting closer, right? We're winding down quickly. I'm going to update you something cool that we're going to be doing on Thursday. I have this random thought about the NFL draft, and it's just stupid, but I mean, I think it's dumb, but random thought about the draft and where the Seahawks are at. They have got a lot of holes. Troy Fautano is going to be a big name if he is there. It's the most prudent thing is probably for the Seahawks to select him. Despite him playing tackle, you can certainly move him inside. He's a good enough athlete to play there. He's dominant. He has that attitude to him, that menace type of mentality that you want there in an offensive lineman. There was a great comp that I read over the weekend about him. You know, Zach Martin, who has now gone on to be probably one of the best offensive linemen in football, was a tackle as well. Then they moved him inside to the Cowboys, played guard, and he's been unbelievable. So I don't think the transition is that hard for these guys, especially if they're kind of an elite offensive lineman. The question will be for these guys is just the elephant sitting in the room. If Fautano's quarterback is there at 16, would the Seahawks pull the trigger on him? Would they do it? And I think I read this weekend, it was a great kind of back and forth of whether or not they should draft a quarterback. They're high on Sam Howell. They've acknowledged they're high on Sam Howell. As Mike Garafolo told us a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, that they got into a bidding war with the Rams, that the Rams wanted Sam Howell. So they kept Sam Howell out there of the Rams. And maybe they have just said to themselves, well, we would take a quarterback, but if the right quarterback is not there, then I don't think we're going to pull the trigger on it. I'm beginning to think it's hard to believe anything with the NFL draft. I think if he's there at 16, Penix, they're not going to take him. I think they're set on Howell. I think if there's a guy there in the 4th round or 5th round, and we'll get to who that may be because he's been written about a little bit here lately, then I think they'll draft a quarterback. But I don't think they're going to take Penix. And Penix may not even be there at 16, which would probably be a good thing for this organization if he's not there. Because if he is there and they don't pick him, I mean, there's a huge part of the fan base, like a big part of the fan base, that is going to hold that against them for a very long time, especially if Michael Penix goes on and plays, I don't know. But we'll get to where the Rams may be interested in him at 19. Okay, if he goes to the Rams and then all of a sudden you're facing him twice a year and he turns out to be this great pro under Sean McVay, there'd be a lot of people can't live with that. Hell, I don't know if I could live with that. But if you look at Sam Howell compared to the quarterbacks that are in the draft this year, okay, he's already started 18 games in the NFL. Well, and I know what you're saying. Well, yeah, but he wasn't great. Yeah, it's a mixed bag for Sam Howell. Already started 18 games. Same age as Michael Penix. Same age as Jaden Daniels. Again, not saying he's as good as those guys. Clearly, when you look at them, no one I don't think is going to argue that Sam Howell certainly as good as Jaden Daniels or even Michael Penix, the thrower of a football. Okay. He's 1 year younger than Bo Nix. So when you look at Howell and what they did by acquiring him this year from Washington, it's essentially like they drafted him, but they drafted a guy who has already started multiple, over double-digit games in the National Football League. So, he's got a leg up on these guys already. And it's not like, he's already been in the league, but look at all these guys that are coming in now with NIL and the transfer portal and the eligibility, being able to stay in college longer now. I mean, he's already had experience, like work experience under his belt where these guys have not. So his learning curve, he's already a couple of years ahead of those guys. So again, I think if he's there, they're not going to take him. If he's there at 16, and I think which would be fantastic fodder for everybody in this town. Fantastic for me because we'll sit and talk about it for months and years if Michael Penix doesn't get picked up by them at 16. I mean, the last quarterback they've taken in the first round was back in 1993, and that was Rick Meyer. We shouldn't have had Rick Meyer. We should have had Drew Bledsoe, but we had to win a meaningless Monday Night Football game in order not to have the number one pick. There are rumors out there. Adam Schefter kind of empty out his notebook and wrote about this, that the Rams like both Bo Nix and Michael Penix, and one GM told Adam Schefter both could be in play there at number 19 for the Rams. Also, another GM though feels there's so many mixed messages going on. It's hilarious. One GM feels that Penix is in play, number 8 there with the Atlanta Falcons. There's another GM in the same breath telling Schefter that they're round 2 grades on both. But just because they have a round 2 grade doesn't mean they're not going to be selected in the first round. We all know this. We've been watching the draft forever. Everybody has. You don't need to be some draft expert to know this. Quarterbacks get overdrafted all the time. So keep an eye out. If they're both available, and the Rams are sitting there at 19, who showed you that they want a young quarterback. That's why they went out and were so aggressive in trying to acquire Sam Howell. Watch for Michael Penix or Bo Nix there at 19. I mentioned there is buzz picking up on one guy. We've talked about him, or people have talked about him a little bit. The gentleman, Michael Pratt, he's the quarterback out of Tulane. Mel Kiper wrote about him this weekend. Mentioned him as his kind of favorite day 3 player. Does a little thing every year, his favorite day 3 player. And it mentioned Michael Pratt as his favorite day 3 player. He's projected 4th or 5th round, 6'2", big, nice, good-looking athlete, good-looking quarterback. Last 2 seasons at Tulane, 49 touchdowns, just 10 interceptions, 22-3 record over that time. And a guy that, the Seahawks are sitting there in the 4th or 5th round, have not taken clearly a quarterback. He could be certainly a fit there. Because I do think that Schneider wants to kind of pull the trigger on drafting a quarterback because it's something that he just has not done in his entire career. Really, I mean, we're talking Russell Wilson and Alex Magoo. Those are the guys that he has drafted. So I do believe when he's come out in interviews and saying, yeah, I mean, I think I like how we used to do it with the Packers where we drafted a guy and developed him. And they usually, for the most part, certainly some exceptions to it, love to do it like in that 4th, 5th round range, and then just take a stab. Hopefully that guy turns out. All right, so special announcement. It's the first annual. We're going to be doing it Thursday. I'm excited about this. I'm nervous about this because things can always go wrong, and I look for things to go wrong sometimes. It's going to be the Pucks Draft Watch Party. Debuting on Thursday, 5 o'clock. We are going live on YouTube, X, Twitter, and also at PuckSports.com. We are going to be starting right at 5 o'clock, right when the first round of the draft gets underway. No commercials. We are staying all the way through, probably the majority of the first round. At least, and please, the love of God, the Seahawks take somebody at 16. Please don't trade down. All right. We are certainly going to go right up to the pick number 16. And then whoever the Seahawks take at 16 will kind of morph into just kind of breaking that down, going over that player, what other picks they have coming up, all the news and notes. But 1 through 15, we'll just be going over the picks. We're just going to be sitting here watching the draft just like you. But we're going to be reacting to it in real time here on YouTube and X and at PuckSports.com. So you can watch us there. The live stream starting at 5 o'clock. We got a hammer list of guests that are coming on. I couldn't thank them enough. Okay, how about one of the top insiders in all of the National Football League? Mike Garafolo is going to be riding shotgun here on YouTube and also on X as we do a live Pucks Draft Watch Party. He's going to be sitting around. He's going to be at the NFL headquarters. He's not going to be on the air for the NFL. So he says, yeah, I'll come on with you. And we will be going through every time that pick comes through. We'll be getting Mike's reaction to it. We'll be getting any trade rumors surrounding the draft from a guy that's inside the NFL network studios and has the inside knowledge. Half the time, probably more than half the time, he's going to be on his phone looking at all the rumors coming his way. Mike Garafolo is going to be with us starting there at 5 o'clock. Rob Staton from Seahawks draftblog.com is also going to be with us. We're probably going to start off with Rob in that first 20, 25 minutes of the show. He's super busy, but we're going to start it off with Rob, get his thoughts on the draft, what the Seahawks may do at 16, who does he like, where does he think the draft kind of takes a turn, and guys to keep an eye out for. Again, Rob Staton does just an awesome job at SeahawksDraftBlog.com. He comes on with us every Thursday, brought to you by Superior Linen Service, and he's phenomenal. If you haven't read his stuff, again, go to SeahawksDraftBlog.com. Also making an appearances live from the Virginia Mason Athletic Center, Bob Condotta of the Seattle Times will stop on by. Give his 2 cents before the Seahawks pick there at 16. If they stay there, probably going to be right around 7 o'clock. So we're going to have Bob Condotta jump on at 6 o'clock. Also, Curtis Crabtree from Fox 13, who covers the Seahawks and, of course, other sports. And then our good friend Tim Booth from the Associated Press. All three live from the Virginia Mason Athletic Center, probably around 6 o'clock. We'll get out of the way because obviously at 7, if they stay at 16, that's where the Seahawks will be picking. But again, live Puck's Draft Watch Party, Thursday, 5 o'clock, live stream. We're watching, reacting with you. You can leave comments there. We will follow. We'll try to engage listeners as much as we can. I think there's a cool tool where I'll be able to interact some of your tweets into the show. Again, a live stream on YouTube, also on X and at PuckSports.com. All right, Fisher Plumbing took one on the chin this Saturday. Not going to lie. I mean, took one on the chin. Shout out to North Central Little League. Oh, boy, they got some players over there. I'm not going to lie. And now I'm blanking on the sponsor. What was their team name? Branham Instrumental. So if you know anybody that's on the Branham Instrumental North Central Little League team, boy, you want to talk about a murderer's row of hitters, these guys. Jesus. So I think this is like their best team over there at North Central, at least it appears. I think they were undefeated. So, Fisher Plumbing coming over there. Young squad, bunch of 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds going up against a bunch of 12-year-olds. All right, we'll see where we stand. Got off to a great start, did Fisher Plumbing. Took an early 3-0 lead, top of the first inning. Kind of looking around going, he might be pretty good. He might be better than we think. Then they scored 6 runs in the bottom of the inning, which was fine. Not, okay, hard hit balls, tough track. Okay, tough infield over there. Probably needs to be groomed a little bit. A lot of choppy balls going over kids' heads. So, all right, down 6-3 as we go into the second. Still feeling good. We're hitting the ball well. Defense okay. Could have made some plays, just didn't make them like we normally do. Then the second inning happened. And that was a tough one. That was a tough one for the old boys at Fisher Plumbing. Held their head high. But boy, did we take one on the chin. And it was a tough watch. The Branham Instrumental squad from North Central Little League, they put a 20 spot on us there in the bottom of the second. Yeah, you heard me right. 20 runs. And the hardest part was, I think it was 14. 14 of the 20 runs came with 2 outs. Yeah, it was one of those days where you just like and I think of those 14 runs, I bet you I would say 10 plus batters, we probably had 2 strikes on them and just couldn't get the final strike. It was a hard watch. But I felt not bad for us. I felt bad for the kids. I felt bad for the boys that were on the mound. I felt bad for our catcher who was just out there in the sun, just beaten up. I felt bad for the parents. I felt bad for the other team because they were feeling bad for us as we just could not get out of the inning. But the boys were okay. They took it on the chin. That probably lasted 5 minutes, and then the snacks came out. And they're like, okay, we're good. But with the tough one also came something really cool. As we know, we do the golden plunger, right? When we score runs, we only got to use it 3 times, which was a tough one. So we ended up losing 26-3. It was a tough one. We'll be back on Tuesday though. The one of our kids on our team, this kid named Bryant. I love these stories. This is why I love coaching. It's so much fun. He's never played baseball before. Anyone who knows kind of the little league, we're in the majors division now, which is the highest one, I guess. And most of these kids have all been playing baseball since they're 6 or 7, right? Since T-ball. And Bryant's 12 years old, has never played baseball before, wanted to give it a shot this year, played football. And it's kind of it's fun in a way because he, going into the season, we've got to tell him certain things that you just think are obvious, right? 3 outs, where they're, how many strikes do I get? If it's ball 4, do I get a walk? Where do I go? I mean, little stuff like this that you don't even think of. Positions. I remember one time we sent him out, hey, go play center field. And he's like, where's that at? But he is the greatest kid. In every little league team or every youth team needs to have a full team of Bryants because he works hard, he listens, tries his tail off, and is just an all-around good kid. And the kids love him. And he's got buddies on the team too that but they love him and they help him out and they show him stuff, and they're always pulling for him. And it's really, really cool. It's really cool how they have kind of taken him under his wing, kind of show him the sport. And he's been so close to getting his first hit, and he finally got his first hit on Saturday. And we hand out a mini plunger for the player of the game. He was our mini plunger Fisher Plumbing player of the game, and was just so happy to see his just face light up that he finally got a hit. And all of you probably listening, watching, have played Little League. You remember that first hit you got. And so I was just really happy. We were super happy for Brian. I mean, yeah, we got creamed, but my takeaway wasn't the fact that we lost by that much. My takeaway was, man, a guy who just picked up the sport this year, who we hope just continues to play, because he's finding out that he really, really likes the sport, and is probably finding out, God, I wish I would have played sooner. All we've wanted to do as coaches and parents this year is just make it enjoyable for him so he continues to play. But to see the smile and the emotion and the excitement on his face Saturday was well worth it. Quickly, Scottie, Scheffler. No, I haven't done the NBA yet. I got to get to the NBA. Iconic Sonics podcast. I'm working with those guys at Iconic Sonics podcast. We just taped an episode with George Karl last week. It's coming out on Tuesday, April 23rd. We talk about his time in Oklahoma City. He just was there about a week ago for the very first time, watching a game in front of those fans. He said it was hard. It was hard to sit there and watch it and kind of take it all in, but certainly kind of respects the organization that they are, Sam Pressing and the team that they have built. We also talked about the state of the game today. How would he defend players in today's game, the likes of Victor Wembanyama, Chet Holmgren, who are just, freaks, so different. The NBA playoffs are in full force, underway right now. The Clippers with a huge Game 1 victory, despite not having Kawhi Leonard play. Milwaukee, I mean, that's why they got Damian Lillard. I know people feel that they've been a disappointment this season, certainly have in the regular season. That's why you got Damian Lillard. He scored 35 points in the first half and was just remarkable. Absolutely just a stud there in that game. OKC getting their first win as well. So is Minnesota. We talked a lot about the Timberwolves also with the Iconic Sonics podcast with George Karl. Again, comes out Tuesday, April 23rd. We talk about the return of the Sonics, the state of the game, his visit to Oklahoma City. So please go check it out. Iconic Sonics podcast, wherever you find your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Amazon. It's available out there. News on the NBA. So today, as we tape this on Monday, April 22nd, midnight tonight, the current television exclusive negotiating window with ESPN TNT will expire, and then it's going to be open to anyone. Now, no one thinks that ESPN is going to lose it or TNT is going to lose it, but they are going to bring in and welcome in other platforms. The number one platform, because they want to get really heavy into streaming, is Amazon. So Amazon is believed to make a huge push, and also NBC. Keep an eye on NBC with their Peacock streaming service. They're going to make a big push to get involved there with the NBA, because the NBA kind of wants 4 separate groups to bid on the league and actually be partners with them. So ESPN, TNT, they're going to be back. And then you've got Amazon and then probably one more. So also keep an eye on Netflix. Netflix could be something here in play. They just recently did a 10-year deal, $5 billion with the WWE. They showed interest in the NBA in-season tournament. They obviously didn't get it. Apple has discussed it with them as well. They already, of course, are doing MLB and MLS. And then Google has been thrown out there as well with YouTube TV and their relationship with YouTube. But the money is there. I mean, the money's going to be absurd. They just finished up their ESPN and TNT deal. Was 9 years and $24 billion. CNBC is reporting that the league wants their new TV deal around $75 billion. The league has pushed back on that, but maybe something in the 50+ billion range. What does that mean for Seattle in the future? Well, they obviously have got to get this figured out and wrapped up, and then they're going to turn their attention to expansion, which Seattle will be a part of, and so will Las Vegas. I know many of you out there just don't like the streaming service. Some of you do, some of you don't. It's just the way of it. I mean, cable will go away. The traditional media, I mean, we're doing a show right now here on non-traditional media, I guess, but it's becoming more traditional as the days go by. The way we're going to consume our television and our sports, it's going more to the streaming service. This is why, I mean, we're going to look, I'm telling you right now, we're going to go back 5 years and look at these presidents in the Pac-12 as just idiots for not, and I don't care what the money was at the time, what it would have been years down the road, that they didn't jump on it then, because it's where everything is going to go. Not going to be watching on cable and satellite anymore. It's going to be a majority of your content's going to be streaming. So just keep an eye on that. We'll continue to update you of all the news and notes with their new media deal. Scottie Scheffler, lastly, dominant again. Just this stupid, if you're a golf fan, to watching this right now. And if you were a Tiger fan, this is what Tiger was doing. His last 5 starts, this is what he's done his last 5 starts. RBC, he just won. Then he won the Masters. Tied for second at the Houston Open, should have won that. He won the Players, which is like the 5th major, and then he won the Arnold Palmer. That's his last 5 starts. First player to win back-to-back Masters and the RBC since Bernard Longer did it back in 1985. His last 5 starts per win, he's averaging $3.2 million. Here's the crazy thing. These are what his betting lines are now for the last 3 majors. It's absurd. He's plus 450 at Valhalla, which is will be played in May, the second week of May 16th, there in Louisville, Kentucky. The U.S. Open at Pinehurst in June, Father's Day, is at plus 400. And then the Open Championship at Royal Troon in July is at plus 450. He's just 40-1 right now to get the Grand Slam. And who's going to doubt him? I mean, I'm jumping on that at 40-1 right now. To get 40-1 to win the next 3 majors, which at this point seems plausible and doable. The only thing that's going to hold him back is the birth of his kid. It's just amazing. He's the best ball striker. He's just the best player. I don't know who beats him when he's on his A game or even his B+ game. There's clearly no one that can do it. Also on the women's side, if you're paying attention, Nelly Korda, LPGA Tour, she's won 5 straight tournaments. Okay, we'll wrap it up here on the Daily Puck Drop, the DPD. Lastly, April 22nd, we are starting our 3rd week here, PuckSports. This is the 3rd week here of the podcast. So on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, all that, PuckSports.com. Thank you to all of you that have reached out and watched. It has been a thrill. I can't thank you enough for the support. Please keep leaving at PuckSports.com. There's a contact tab up there. You can email me directly, or I can just tell it to you. Puck@PuckSports.com. Please leave any feedback. We're going to get to voicemails here in a quick second, but the amount of people that are watching and listening have blown me away. It's awesome. I can't thank you enough. The fact that we're only doing this, we're just getting into our 3rd week. I was telling my wife the other day, it feels like we've been doing this for a year. There's a lot of work that kind of goes into all this stuff when you're kind of running your own thing, but just your feedback and, has been awesome. And I'll get a little emotional here. It's just been super cool to see everybody reaching out, saying what you like. Yeah, even offering little critiques, which that's what I want. I want people to offer feedback, positive and negative. But it's always been kind of a little scary venture on my part to do this, but I think it's been validated by a lot of people listening and watching and the feedback. So I just want to say thank you. All right, voicemails. We will have a tab up at PuckSports.com soon. That's going to be for voicemails. But here's what you can do right now. We need all the regular characters back. We had our softy guy. We had our Michael Shandugar guy make an appearance. But under the contact tab at PuckSports.com, where you can just reach out to me with emails, you can leave a voicemail there. All you got to do is just record it on your phone. Everybody on their little phone has got a little voice recorder. Record 30 seconds. It could be your impressions of the characters that we've had. I'm looking for Jim Nantz, Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, okay, Jamal Adams, Jerry DiPoto, John Staton, all those characters reaching out to you, because when they left them on the old place, we never had a number for them, never had a contact. So I need you guys to leave them here at Puck at PuckSports.com. You can go to PuckSports.com. There's a contact tab. Leave it there. Just email me a 30-second clip of a voicemail. And then every Friday on the Daily Puck Drop, every Friday, we're going to play them, the best ones, every single Friday. So voicemails are back. We're trying to get it going. I need your help. Puck at PuckSports.com. I'll leave a voicemail there. Okay, that's it for the Daily Puck Drop, the DPD. Coming up on Monday's show, which is what we're recording today, April 22nd, we've got appearances from Jim Duquette, MLB Network Radio, and also Bill Kruger. Until we talk to you again, as always, we promise to be better.
Shirt, no shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rob you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for?
We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!